What happens when the quietest sport suddenly gets a taste of chaos? What if one match could turn an unknown player into a national hero overnight? Welcome to the Davis Cup, the wildest, loudest, most team-powered tennis event in the world. It's where legends are born, dreams come alive, and even the quiet game of tennis turns into a roaring adventure. It's one of the greatest tennis tournaments in the entire world. But wait, it's not a simple tennis tournament. Because most tennis games are about one guy trying to defeat another player. But the Davis Cup is different. Players don't just play for themselves in this one, they play for their country. That's right, the Davis Cup can be compared to a tennis Olympics with everyone invited from all over the world. But how did it all begin? Over 100 years ago, back in the year 1900, a young American named Dwight F. Davis had an awesome idea. He wanted to have a tennis game between the United States and Great Britain. He was so into the idea that he even financed the very first trophy himself. However, he wasn't the only one that loved the idea. Other nations lined up to participate for the spirit of sportsmanship and the passion for the game. And the rest is history. Today, over 130 nations participate in the Davis Cup. But how does this even work? Who plays against whom? What's the system they use to figure out the opponents? Let's break it down. Every country has a team of players. When two countries play against each other, it is termed a tie. In a tie, they play 5 matches. These are sometimes referred to as rubbers, which is a silly name, but that's what they're termed in tennis. The winner of this contest is the first country to secure 3 of those 5 matches. In a typical format, they play 2 singles matches on the first day, 1 doubles match on the second day, and 2 more single matches on the third day. Each game consists of sets. The majority of the tennis games in the Davis Cup were previously best-of-5 sets, meaning that a player would need to win 3 sets to take the game. But they shortened the matches more recently. Today, most Davis Cup games are best-of-3 sets. That way, the games are faster paced, and spectators don't have to spend hours and hours seated unless they want to. Now, the teams are categorized into various levels. The top teams in the world are in a category referred to as the World Group. This is where the top 16 nations compete to attempt to be Davis Cup winners. Other teams compete in zones depending on where they are located geographically. There is the Americas zone, the Europe-Africa zone, and the Asia-Oceania zone. In each group, they attempt to advance to the World Group by winning and advancing through the rankings. If a team loses too often, it can also drop down to a lower group. However, a few years ago, the Davis Cup underwent a complete transformation. The officials wanted it to become easier to watch and more entertaining, so they made this thing called the Davis Cup Finals. This is a massive tournament at the end of the year. The top 18 teams all meet in one big city and play the finals during one thrilling week. There are group stages initially, and then it becomes knockout rounds, aka if a team loses, they're gone. The team that wins the finals can claim the Davis Cup trophy and declare itself the world's best team. Which brings us to the most important question: why is the Davis Cup unique? Well, in regular tennis tournaments such as Wimbledon or the US Open, the players are competing to win for themselves. They want to receive a large trophy and prize money. But with the Davis Cup, it's not about the individual player, it's about the team. They wear their nation's colors, they sing national anthems, and they encourage one another from the sidelines. When a player wins, the entire team is overjoyed. And when they lose, the team hangs together and encourages one another, which makes the Davis Cup much more than just a sport. The players are more like a family cheering each other on to win. But what's even crazier are the crazy fans who watch the game, cheering like absolute fanatics. In normal tennis matches, the spectators are normally silent while the players play points. But in the Davis Cup, spectators bring drums, flags, and cheers. It's like a soccer match. The energy level is really high, and that inspires players to even greater efforts. You can sense the thrill in the atmosphere. However, the matches can get really emotional. Players cry when they win. They cry when they lose. That's because they're not just playing for themselves, they're playing for millions of people back home. One such instance was in the 2024 Davis Cup, where Rafael Nadal was seen emotional as it was his final match playing for his country in the Davis Cup, and he lost, which led to Spain getting eliminated. You guys remember Djokovic, right? He shaved his head after winning the Davis Cup. That's how crazy the players are for this. They dig deep, run faster, and fight harder than ever before. Now, after all this hard work, what do they get? The trophy. And oh boy, is it huge. It's got many layers and it's a giant trophy made out of pure silver. To win the Davis Cup is to have your country's name put on the trophy for all eternity. Many nations have been successful in the Davis Cup over the years. The United States has been the most successful with 32 victories. Australia is close behind with 28 victories. France, Spain, and Sweden have also performed exceptionally well. These nations have benefited from superstars like Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer when he represented Switzerland, and Novak Djokovic representing Serbia. Some Davis Cup matches have been pretty wild too. And if you have lasted more than 6 hours, can you picture yourself sprinting around and hitting shot after shot for that long? That's like 2 entire school days. Players have developed blisters on their hands and sore legs, but they continue because they didn't want to disappoint their teammates. That's the thrill of Davis Cup tennis. It's all about effort, determination, and never giving up. However, the game is so much more than just the excitement and the trophy. The Davis Cup also contributes to developing the game in nations where tennis is fresh. When children witness their nation's players competing on television, they become motivated. They say, "Yeah, I want to do that someday." Tennis clubs begin receiving more members, and new stars emerge. The Davis Cup is not merely an event, it is a spark that ignites dreams. You may ask, so when does this happen? Well, Davis Cup matches occur all year. Teams compete in February, April, September, and then the finals typically occur in November. That provides teams with time to train, relax, and prepare for each battle. If you ever have the opportunity to attend a Davis Cup match, don't miss out. Hear the crowd, sense the energy, see the players leave it all on the court, and perhaps, just perhaps, you'll be motivated to grab a racket and give it a try too. Tennis is enjoyable, but when you play for your nation with your team and fans supporting you, it becomes pure magic. That is the Davis Cup, and you are now an expert. So that's a wrap, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and comment below if you would ever consider watching a match. Now, while you're at it, make sure to watch our previous video about some tennis facts that will leave you stunned. As per usual, we will be back with more fiery forehands, backhands that don't come back, and those unmissable moments in the ATP and WTA.